Nearly half of Timorese children under 5 are stunted, with organizations like UNICEF working to address chronic malnutrition across the country. UNICEF Global Spokesperson James Elder is in Timor-Leste to see firsthand how climate change is affecting the development of young people. He spoke with RTTL World News reporter Vicky Madeira about what he saw.
Mr. Elder, why have you chosen to visit Timor-Leste?
The main focus is to look at climate change. What is a climate crisis? I think that for a lot of people around the world, the climate crisis is a bit abstract. It's something they see in reports. The reality is it's happening now, and it's happening as always to children, right? Children are very much at the center of this. And you have places like Timor-Leste, where people have almost no carbon footprint. They almost make no impact, and yet already they're seeing a changing climate. So it's important we show people around the world what is happening, why this is real, how it's hurting children, and also what communities are doing. That people here are not passive, they are doing things about it. So for those reasons, and I'm Australian, I've always wanted to come to Timor-Leste, but the focus is on the climate.
So what programs did you visit, and what programs stood out to you?
UNICEF is lucky that we have many, many programs, and for us everything centres on the child. And so what does a child need? They need education. So I visited schools and saw the most amazing, energetic children and teachers. Nutrition is fundamental. You can't study if you don't have good nutrition, so I saw our nutrition programs. Healthcare, I walked through the hills with a nutritionist, a vaccinator, mother-to-mother peer workers, and of course water. Children need water, they need food. And so I saw sanitation, I saw families who used to walk for an hour to get water, and now they have a tap right at their doorstep. I had a mother explain to me the difference it makes that her newborn will not have to make that long trek to get water. So water, sanitation, health, nutrition, all of these are the package around a child, and I saw them all.
So how do these challenges compare to those faced by children in the conflict zones you have visited?
Children in Timor-Leste face a lot of challenges. There are big nutrition problems, and if you've got bad nutrition or stunting, and then you have an issue with water or dengue, then you're already attacking a child at their weakest point. And that's a reality for children here. That's something that UNICEF and the government is working on very hard. When you're in a conflict zone, when you're in a Gaza or Sudan or Ukraine, that's very different. That's a level of terror. That's where children hear things in the sky and they realize there are bombs and they're looking for bunkers. So that's a mental health problem. That's an issue of children being hit by shrapnel. So those two things are very different. But children everywhere around the world are facing the threat of a climate crisis. And we're somehow going backwards, that we have leaders around the world questioning whether this is real. It's very real, and you see that in Timor-Leste, you see that in my country, in Australia, you see that everywhere, and yet day after day, the world is not making the decisions they need to make for children today.
So during you being in Timor-Leste, what did you hear from the children about the direct effects of climate change?
Yeah, it's a great question. Lots of things. Everything from, when there's floods, we don't get to school. And you forget, people think children love a day off school. Most kids want to be in a classroom. So you hear that. They explain to me when there's a flood and there's a siren, what do? They spoke about the fear. I asked a group of 6 children just a few hours ago, when it's a big storm, how are you? And they said, no, it's terrifying because, big storms often mean floods. They explained to me the other end of a flood. Droughts, and what a drought will mean, and how they have to walk further for water, and how the water risks being not clean, and if it's not clean they get sick. This whole cycle. So again, it's not theoretical for girls and boys here. They're living it. At the same time, they will explain to me how important it is to grow trees, how important it is to ensure that, that cattle aren't used everywhere where there should be trees. So they also understand how to protect their environment. Beautifully, they also explain to me that they see their environment as stunning. And it is, but I wanted to know from them, do they wake up every day and go, oh, my goodness, how beautiful this is? And they do.
Mr. Eller, you are meeting with the Prime Minister during your visit. What will be discussed in this meeting?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be meeting with the President and the Prime Minister, who is an Australian, were two people I, held in very, very high regard for decades. So in some ways, I just like to listen to them. But we will talk about the climate crisis, talk about UNICEF and the government's partnership. It's critical. The more we work together, everything UNICEF does is in support of the government. They are the lead here. So I want to hear from them about the things that they want to see more of, the challenges that they see. So to a very large degree, I want to hear from them, both because of their stature, but also because no one knows the country better than your President and your Prime Minister.
Okay, so our last question. What is your opinion on the conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran? How concerned are you for the civilians and children in affected areas?
Oh, UNICEF is hugely concerned. It's what the world cannot afford. We're now seeing children killed in Lebanon, obviously many children killed in Iran. As I say, many, many thousands in Gaza. We've seen blockade again on Gaza that we hope is being lifted as we speak. So, yeah, extremely concerned, and we make that point all the time to leaders. It's one of the special things about UNICEF. On one hand, we're out in the field like I was today, seeing water points that communities are using now. On the other hand, we're in the halls of power talking to world leaders about focusing on children, particularly those children who seem to be increasingly under fire.
It is a fantastic interview with you, Mr. Heller.
That was great.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.